This weekend, It Chapter 2, a continuation of the 2017 movie It, dropped in theaters, and today I'm here to tell you my take on it. Hi, my name is Andy, and welcome back to my channel where I share my takes on the movies that I watch. If you also love talking about movies, consider subscribing down below so that you don't miss any of my future reviews or other future content. Today specifically, we'll be talking about It Chapter 2, and if you've seen it, don't forget to tell me in the comments down below what you thought of the movie. I don't just want to share my take, I want to hear yours too. When Pennywise shows up again 27 years after the events of It, Mike calls every member of the Losers Club to get them back together. As always, we'll start off with the positives, and the biggest thing for me here is the cast. They did a great job finding adult actors who look a lot like the kid actors that they're playing the older versions of, but also actors that could give great performances, which they all did. The acting in this movie was great. Also, this movie featured a lot of great tie-ins from the first movie, and they continued storylines really well. And there was definitely emotional payoff throughout the movie in the way that they handled certain storylines going from Chapter 1 through Chapter 2. And I think there's just some fun to be had in seeing the adult versions of these characters and seeing where life has taken them and seeing them all come back together. But there are also a few scenes in this movie with the kid actors in flashbacks that I thought was a nice touch as well. But with that said, we have to move on to the negatives, and for me, there were a few things in this movie that just weren't handled as well as they were handled in Chapter 1. And the biggest thing there for me is the pacing. In Chapter 1, I thought the movie did a good job of building up the tension throughout the movie. And even when there were scenes with individual characters, you could tell it was all leading up to cluing them in one by one. That this clown was real and that there was actually scary stuff happening. And it felt like everything built on top of each other, and it felt like the tension was building throughout the movie. But unfortunately, that's not how I felt with Chapter 2. A lot of Chapter 2 felt way more disconnected to me. First off, you have a pretty long intro with Mike calling each member of the Losers Club, and you see where they are in life now, and you see them get the call and having to make plans to go back. And that leads to it being a good chunk into the movie before we actually learn the game plan of the film and how they're going to try to defeat Pennywise. And then after they've already met back up, there are scenes that feature the individual characters going to places that they've already been to try and find things. And the way those scenes were handled didn't give me the same feeling as the original movie. It felt like the storyline of them all kind of forgetting the events of the first movie was used to try and kind of recreate the individual cueing them in one by one. But it didn't feel as effective. It felt like each scene you were just waiting an extended period of time for something to happen. And a lot of times it also felt like you knew what was going to happen or when it was going to happen. Like, yeah, he's going to open the curtains and there's going to be something scary right then. Which also leads me to my next point, and that is I don't think the way the horror was handled was as effective as it was in the first film. In the first film, it really relied on sheer creepiness of Pennywise and the situations these kids are in. And while there was some of that here, it felt like a lot of times they also dropped that in favor of jump scares or weird creature looking things. And even when Pennywise was on screen, it just didn't feel as good as the first movie. So overall, It Chapter 2 definitely had its problems. At times it felt overly long and drawn out, and I was kind of surprised how much certain parts of the story bored me. And I don't think the horror was handled as well in this movie. But I do still think it was a fun time. I still think it was a good continuation of the first film, and I think it was still a decent movie. So I'm still going to give this movie a positive score. I'm going to go with a 60 for It Chapter 2. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future reviews, and don't forget to comment your thoughts down below. Thank you for tuning into this video and for supporting my channel.